Hello, hello, good people. What is up? We're here to talk a little paranormal stuff tonight, and it's going to get interesting. I think we already have some tired people on the panel, so we're going to get goofy most likely. Lola, the official First Lady of Comicsgate, is here with us tonight. What's up, Lola?
Not much. What's up?
Not too much. And of course, we have John and Carla with us. What's up, guys?
What's up, Red? Thanks for having us, and happy 420 to everyone in the chat, and happy 420 to you too as well.
Thank you.
420! Woo!
How's everybody celebrating their 420 today?
Well, apparently for the government here, it's not a holiday, so I had to go to work. But I mean, who cares about those guys, right? Right now we're home. We're just chilling. You know?
That's the best way to do it, man.
Absolutely.
All right, say hello to our chat. White Cat Comics was in the chat nice and early.
That's us.
We got Deltasburg Force here. What's up? What's up? Captain Fuckhead's in the house. What's up, sir? Mogwai Centurion. What is up, my brother? Thanks for coming by.
What are you doing over there?
Yeah, why are you in Panama?
Yeah, why are you in Panama?
Come on back. Come on back. We got Apollo Patriot in the house. What's up, my man? Hail Greek mythology, and I love my blue Twilight women. And he's a little bit perturbed, I think, because Carla was trying to steal the blue Twilight women from him.
Yeah, look what I did. The first comment was, I'm the gay's agenda and I love my blue Twilight women.
Oh, they beat you to it, Apollo.
I'm sorry, Apollo.
You be lacking it, man.
Yeah.
Apollo loves his blue Twilight women.
Carla with
I
the
will
blue
never
cock
get it
block.
from you, Apollo. Never, I promise. If I ever get one, I will give it to you.
Yeah, Wookiee Supremacy in the house. I know he's celebrating 420.
But he already said, yeah, hell yeah, fire it up.
Oh, yeah. Vinny's here. What's up, Vinny? How you doing, my man?
No, bro.
What happened to his arm?
Everyone's not celebrating 420.
Mentos, the campaign.
All right.
Imagine how heavy the boxes are. I guess it's for that.
Yeah, well, I don't want to guess. Maybe he had a crazy 420. Never know.
Probably.
Am I the only one that's curious as to why there's like a day for getting high, but there's not a day for like getting drunk?
That's a good question.
Well, then again, we have St. Patty's Day, so never mind. I guess
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of occasions for getting drunk, but there's no official, get drunk day. Maybe the Boston Tea Party. I don't know. We got Peter Charon in the house. What's up, my man? He says happy 420.
Wait, would Oktoberfest count for that? Because I mean, that's what Oktoberfest is, right?
That's yet another occasion.
Yeah.
Level 6 is here. What's up, my man? How you doing? Everybody's saying happy 420. Hell yeah. Adam AF's in the house. What's up, my man? This is hail the beautiful people.
Hail, Adam.
I only see 3, but yeah, it's 420. And yeah, how do you guys want to get this started? You guys want to delve right in?
Yeah, I mean, sure, whatever you want. We have some cool stories to share. I don't know if this is going to be kind of like a story time type of deal or whatever you want us to start.
What's the deal, Red? What's the
Oh, the deal is, yes, absolutely story time.
All right, so I guess the way this is going to be is we're kind of getting into like paranormal, what would you say, experiences that we've had, right?
Yeah.
Now, thankfully for me, because this has been my problem. If anybody ever met my mother, she'll always tell you, never believe anything he says. He's a writer and he makes up 50% of everything, and out of that 50%, you have to believe 50% of that.
Never trust
She always goes like that, and she always says that because she says that I exaggerate things. Luckily for me, all this paranormal experience I had it with you. So there is no way that I could be lying or I could be exaggerating.
Unfortunately.
And you always fact check me in front of everyone, so that's not gonna be a problem.
So Carla's the bullshit alert.
I'm sorry.
So what I'm gonna tell you, the stories I could share with you guys today, you can feel free to fact check with her. She can vouch for everything I say tonight, and make that I'm not stoned right now. Not yet. So I'm not imagining things. But no. So here's the thing though, with like the paranormal things that we've gone through. The thing is, I was very much a skeptic up until that one time. That, like, which time I'm talking about, that we're gonna talk about later. That one time when it happened, that I just couldn't refute it. Like, it was there was no way for me to basically not only deny what happened, but kind of rationalize it or explain it in a way that made sense, right? So basically the story actually, and it's perfect to tell it on 420 because it actually started with weed, right?
That's appropriate.
Yeah, it did.
Vinny will be back later. What's up, Vinny? Thick Puss is in the house. What's up, my man? And we also got Keely Chow. Howdy. Sorry, John. Just want to make sure we're getting everybody in here.
Help to the chat. The more the merrier here listening to our story here. So basically the scariest story I can think of that happened to both of us started with, because we took a trip to LA, right? She hadn't been to LA yet, and we horseback ride. I remember we did a bunch of cool stuff over there, right? And so
was a chupacabra involved?
No, there was no chupacabra, but it was something much scary, I'll tell you. So we got a bunch of these candies, right? That were like they were weed candies, whatever, they were laced with marijuana. And we brought them home, where it's legal to possess, by the way. Don't call the police or anything.
Lillian is all about the pot butter.
Right. So we brought it home, and we've been eating them, and normal. And keep in mind, probably the first time I tasted weed was, I don't know, I was like 10. I know what being high looks like. Yeah, but I was able to smoke it before, until I developed asthma. And I know you've always been asthmatic, so we don't smoke. We don't smoke anything, right? We don't vape either, because that's just gay. But you know what I mean? all we do is do edibles, right? Just edibles. That's always what we've done. But we don't do it regular. Like, we're not addicts or anything, guys, and don't do drugs if possible. But
if possible. Sometimes it's foisted upon you, right?
Right. So we brought this candy home, and I just had the worst high ever. And that's kind of how I brushed it off for the night. So let me explain to you what the experience was like for me. I ate this candy, right? Which, mind you, I've been eating for a bunch of days before. So it wasn't even hitting me as strong anymore, because, of course, your body kind of knows what you're doing, so it doesn't hit you as hard anymore. So I ate it, and then I had to lay down, right? Because I felt like this, there was this like zooming sound going on in my head, you know what I mean? And I couldn't explain it. There was this dizziness I couldn't really, put up with. So I lay down, right? I lay down, and I was trying to fall asleep, but that's when I started feeling like there were little things walking around the bed, right? Like, I could feel, like, I couldn't see anything, but I could feel that there were something standing like all around my bed, right? And they were little, whatever it might have been. There were those, those things were little. And what creeped me out the most were the voices, because they started to speak with me, right? And they all started to say the same thing. They were kind of like getting inside my head, telling me to watch out for her, right? That's what they were telling me the whole time. They were like,
that might have been me, John.
Right, that could be you. They were all like, you better look out. She's out to get you. She's gonna kill you. You better do something first, because she's going to attack you. She's going to murder you. You better kill her first.
That's dead hot right there.
Wow, yeah.
So that was basically what the bottom line of these things were. You have to kill her first before she kills me, right? And of course, I'm having a super bad trip, and I don't know what to believe anymore. You know what I mean? My heart is pounding. So I get up and I go make myself a bowl of cereal, right?
That's the first thing I would do where I'm planning to kill someone.
No, because here's my reasoning, right? I feel, I thought, if this thing is in my system, if I start eating stuff, it probably go away, right?
Right.
But it actually became more intense. Like there was this bunch of voices in my ear, just a lot of voices in my ear, right? In my head, inside of me, telling me, she's gonna get you, she's gonna do something to you. You better do it first. You better get ahead. Watch out, look out. And this one was in the couch laughing, giggling because of the weed, right? But the voices inside of me kept telling me, she's gonna kill you. And then they put an image in my head, and that has never happened to me. That was the first time I've ever hallucinated in my life. And the image was that after I was done eating, I got up from the table, I turned around, and she was there waiting with a knife, and she slit my throat, right?
Okay, but I think this is now time to insert my point of view of this story. Like, in the meantime, while he was doing all this, what I was doing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, look, we finished the dinner, okay? We were sitting in the table, and we ate the candy, okay? So we were, I don't know, watching TV, I don't know. Then we were back to the table, and he told me, I'm gonna go pee, be right back. And he never returned, okay? I went to the bedroom, and he was sound asleep, okay? And when I wake him up, like, hey, and he sees me and remember.
Well, I saw an ugly, like I saw a really ugly creature in your body. You know what I mean? Like it's really hard to explain, but the thing is, I remember you coming back telling me something, and I see that your face is not your face, but it looks like at the time what it looked like to me was like a mummy. You know what I mean? Like just a decomposed body. That was the face that I was seeing, and it was very scary. And every time she got close to me, I just pushed her, or I kind of like got on guard because I was about to punch or something, because I didn't know what this thing was. Well, yeah, I know it was you, but what I was seeing. But what I remember is these little things just telling me in my mind that I had to attack you because you were gonna attack me first.
Yeah.
So they put that image, they put that scene in my mind, right? That I get up, you cut me in the neck with a knife, and I died. And after that happened, I woke up and I realized it wasn't real. It didn't actually happen. And I was like super freaked out. Every time you try to get close to me, I would push you away or try to get away because you just look different. You look like you were wearing a mask. You know what I mean? Like a really horrifying mask. And add to that the voices of like adult voices in my head telling me that I had to kill you because you were going to kill me. You know what I mean? So it was the most horrible experience that never happened to me with weed ever. And I'd done it a bunch of times before that, so it wasn't like the first time.
Now, where were you located? Where were you located when this happened? Did you say you were in LA?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wookiee Supremacy says, humor aside, this is a very disturbing story. I have to agree.
It was a horrible story, but it gets worse.
Well, the Apollo Patriot has a question. He would like to know: can you get a ghost pregnant?
I mean, you probably can, and that's probably where Casper comes from, right?
Mogwai Centurion's getting Lorena Bobbitt vibes here.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that story, but
she's the guy that cut off her husband's penis and threw it out a car window.
Yeah, no, that's. But anyways, the next day I brushed it off. It was just a bad high, whatever, it was a bad trip. Never happened again. And you know what? I said I'm not touching that shit again. And let's just leave it how it is. So whatever, nothing really happened, right? Oh, hey, Vinnie.
Hey guys,
What's up, Vinnie?
Look, continue your story.
Right. So after that, like nothing happened for months. We forgot about it and we just laughed it off as just some bad trip that I had because you weren't experiencing the same thing I was experiencing. It was just normal.
Remember, I cooked the Doritos.
Oh, you made a disgusting freaking soup with Doritos. Regardless. So we left the country for the first time that time, and we left, and here's where things started going really weird because it was such a traumatizing experience for me. Even though it was kind of a dream, kind of like a trip,
right.
That I would never forget the face that was the mask that she had on, right? Like every time she got close to me, I would see a face on her, and I will never forget that face. So it stuck with me. But I didn't want to be like, okay, get super paranormal with this stuff because I didn't believe it at the time.
Right. Now, John, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Before all this happened, were you like doing anything that might have triggered this in your mind? Like, were you writing a story or anything that might have gotten to your head?
I was taking a big break from stories, but I was in a really tough spot because at the time I was a small business owner, and we were training boxers for the Arizona Boxing Commission, right? For the Olympic Commission.
Mm-hmm.
And I was traveling a lot, and I was super exhausted, and I wanted out. I was very, very much ready to leave because of the corruption and because of all the things and all that. So I think that, yes, I was, very weak at the time. Like I was just drained,
just exhausted.
Yes, exactly. But I don't think it would, it would justify something like that happening, right? But then, of course, you add to it the drugs and all that. But we'll get to that later because we moved out, and at the time I was teaching online. I was teaching Chinese students. I was teaching kids from China, and I was tutoring them online and why not? And you got a job, like a temporary job in Peru for 6 months, remember? As a teacher too. So to kind of like to cut down on cost and all that, we went to live with this elderly family, with this elderly couple, who would just rent us a room for what would equate to like about $200 a month. So it was a steal. And the room came with a bathroom, and we had rights to the kitchen, you know what I mean? All that stuff. So, but this elderly couple at first was super sweet. They were super nice. They were just the greatest ever. But like slowly but surely, they started like showing really weird things, right? Like yeah, I noticed when I got in the house that there was a lot like witchcrafty stuff hanging, but I'm like, okay, whatever,
Yeah, you don't think anything of it.
I'm like, yeah, they're sweet and
chicken feet, stuff like chicken feet and organs just hanging there.
Like strange herbs, like half moons, like black cats, yeah, just weird stuff. But past like the Chinese stuff that they
like
have,
decorations.
They were just weird, but they were sweet, and they would even cook for us a lot of times. And that was the first thing, because every time we ate their cooking, we got sick. We got so freaking sick every time we ate her cooking. And I started to like kind of like, I don't want to be rude to them, but then again, I'm in a different country, and maybe the spices are different in my stomach and whatever is not used to it.
In Peru, they use a lot of spices. They use a lot of ginger.
Right. So they do that, but at the same time, I was like, I don't know, there's something not right here, but I just didn't want to say it because it was just a great price. You know what I mean?
Right.
But then like overly weird stuff started to happen, like when we kind of started to push them aside and kind of, but not in a rude way, we're just kind of minding our business and started getting desperate for attention. The lady stole
my engagement
your engagement ring, and she would wear it, right?
She was wearing it.
Wow, like she would wear it in front of you?
Yeah.
What the hell?
That's some psycho shit right there.
Yeah.
She stole some of your clothes, and she would wear them too, and they would disappear for days. And she's wearing it all of a sudden, right?
Well, John, is this before or after you owned the Lucky shirt?
That was actually before we bought it. Before we got it.
But like, remember the Horus eye?
Yeah.
They left a little Egyptian Horus eye toy in my bathroom for 3 days, and then 3 days inside
the shower, and then 3 days after they took it out. Like we started just noticing weird stuff like that, and you know what I mean. And this was the thing that really, I don't want to say this, but it kind of triggered me, was the fact that one day we come in and I'm super tired, so I go right upstairs, right? And I don't see that she kept you behind to insult you, to throw a lot of slurs at you. You never told me that because I kept going, because she just called you. So she wants to talk something to her. I mean, later on, she told me, "Oh, that lady insulted me really bad." You know what I mean?
They were drunk, like they were like having beer parties every night, and getting drunk AF every night.
And their daughter,
what was she insulting you about?
What?
Well, it would be kind of weird to translate, but basically, she was just telling her, you know, you're a dumbass, shit like that. You know what I mean?
But there wasn't a reason.
There was no reason. Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right.
Like she called. Look, this was very fast. We were returning to the house and we were in the stairs going back to our room, and we were together. And then she called me, and I was like, and she insulted me, like mocking me because I did what she told me to do.
Yeah, they were weird. They were rude. Not in front of me. Never. And that was the thing that I started. Like they would be mean to her, but never to me. And if I was around, they would never say anything to me. And they would be like these sweet little angels. You know what I mean? And it was just not. You know,
But tell them, like, the daughters of the lady, they wanted to do stuff to you.
well, I mean,
Oh.
like anytime they would see me alone, you know what I mean? They would quite literally throw themselves at me. You know what I mean?
I know.
And then you would show up, and they would act like nothing was happening.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh no, hey," like joking. We weren't doing anything. Oh.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's not uncommon for you, though, is it, John?
No, it happens all the time.
all the time. And this is why they were insulting Carla, because they wanted to set up their daughters with you, or at least one of them.
That's what I was thinking at first, but then there were some weird things that started happening in that place, because like, you know that feeling when you feel like you're being watched in the darkness, and you're like, what the hell, you know, I really feel like somebody's watching me. And I could have been paranoid, but
It was raw.
in the corner.
You know,
Saying Poppy.
so I was, you know, I started feeling that all the time. And then in the neighborhood, like a lot of stuff started happening, robberies, you know, armed robberies all the time. Police would come all the time. Like, it was just a bad energy place. And the worst part, we used to call it the Netflix, because we didn't have a TV over there. All we had was the window. All you had to do was
the window was interesting.
Was the Netflix. All you had to do was look out the window. There'll always be an armed robbery, a shooting, something, stabbing.
Oh, so you call the window the Netflix?
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Wait, this was in Peru, you said?
yes, it was in Lima, Peru. And so what happened after that was, like, sometimes I would get down and help. You know what I mean? Yeah, I almost got paid. Like sometimes I'll go down and help because I would see like something happening. You know what I mean? But these people would never leave the room. You know what I mean? Like, always pretending like nothing was happening right in front of their house. You know, and sure, they were an elderly-ish couple, but they could hear and you know what I mean? And like normal, I mean, if you hear a shooting, hey, what the heck's going on?
But remember the time that there was the armed robbery, and the thief threw the keys of the car to the house.
Inside the house, huh?
Inside the house.
And I had to go get it for them, and this bloody guy comes in looking for his car keys or whatever. So
it's not something that happened outside; it happened inside the house.
And they wouldn't even care about what was happening outside, you know. So what ended up happening, and this is like the paranormal stuff, right? I never forgot that face from that one time, right? And so I had a meeting here back here in the United States, right, for a week. I had to come here for a business trip or whatever, so I did, right? And she stayed back because she had to go to work. And she tells me that they treated her wonderfully. You know what I mean? Like, it was not like nothing ever happened. They were acting like normal. I was like, okay, I'm glad that's happening, you know, because, you know, I want us to hopefully have a good relationship with these people. So one night she calls me she video calls me, right? And I'm laying in bed, you know, I'm laying in bed, and the way to describe this is like, she had a Snapchat filter that made her face look completely different, you know? Like, she looked very good. You look wonderful, you know what I mean? And I'm like, you look very different, but I don't know why, you know? It looked like she had a filter on, you know, but she didn't. Because it wasn't Snapchat or anything. It was just like a normal video call. And she looked like a different person, but with there was somewhat of a hint of Carla in that face, but it wasn't Carla, you know? Right. And she had a different smile, and she was like being very defiant the whole time when I was talking to her. And I'm like, I don't know, there's something weird. So when she's talking to me on the phone, like being all whatever, you know, cool, like, she's never like that. She never acts like that. She kind of like flips the camera a little bit. She tilts the camera a little bit. Then I see something behind her. And I immediately recognized the face that I saw when I was high that day, you know, standing right there in the closet. Like in the darkness of the closet, I could see the face shining through, right? Like it was being somewhat illuminated by the phone, right? And I could see the face right there. So I'm like, okay, how do I approach this? If I freak out, she's gonna lose her shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So I start talking to her, and then she starts talking about Carla. You know what I mean? Like this is a different person I'm talking to. Like this is, and I know Carla's not bipolar or doesn't have any kind of like mental, disease like that. And she starts talking about Carla, and she starts talking about me, and she starts talking all kinds of really weird stuff. So I'm starting to kind of dig the truth, right? Then when I confront her about it, and I'm like, "Are you joking with me or what? Whatever." The real Carla like comes off, and I promise you, like the other face that I was seeing disappeared. You know what I mean? And then is when I realized Carla's like, "Oh, confused, like, you know, what were we talking about? When did I get here or whatever?" And I tell her, "Babe, there's someone standing behind you," and she freaking lost her shit.
Of course, like what you?
She got up screaming.
I was alone.
She got up screaming and crying, whatever, and she locked herself in the bathroom, right? And so here's where the freaky stuff started to really happen, right? Like she's in
It gets freakier than that.
Oh, it's a lot freakier than that. She starts screaming, she starts crying, she starts all these things, and in between the crying and the laughing, the other person comes out, right, with the other face and starts laughing at me. And here is where beyond the shadow of a doubt, this was paranormal, is because the voice was not the same. It wasn't even a human voice that was coming out, you know. It was like a mixture of a gorilla with a pig with I don't know what, you know what I mean? It was something like that, like the devil voice, but high pitch, you know what I mean? Coming out of her mouth, and she's screaming and insulting me like a devil, you know what I mean? And losing her shit. And then she goes back to Carla crying, asking, begging for help, you know? And I'm like on the phone, like, what the fuck do I do? You know what I mean? I'm like, how do I even? So I'm like, tell the lady and the old guy to help you out. There is no way that they didn't hear that, but they didn't even come outside of the room.
It was like 2 or 3 a.m. and I was screaming, like crying and screaming.
And the next day they pretended like nothing happened.
But and the bathroom I was in was next to their room, and they were quiet. They didn't say anything. I mean, sure, I would have been freaked out too, but I mean, you know, if a girl is like asking for help in the room, whatever, you know, but she's like begging for help, you know, she's screaming, she's crying, and then she goes back to this demon voice and this demon face. So here's the thing: growing up, my mom told me that she had a similar experience, that there was like this thing that used to attack her or whatever. But a neighbor of hers who practiced witchcraft, but white witchcraft or like good witchcraft or whatever you might call it, was actually able to heal her and to get this thing off of her. I never believed in this crap, you know what I mean? I was super skeptical until that night with Carla. And that was the only thing I could come up with. I just mentioned this lady's name, right? I just say, look, if you keep doing this, I'm going to call so-and-so, who was the lady who helped my mom way back in the day, you know, who still lives near my grandma's house. I'm going to call her, and I'm going to tell her to come and you know, basically expel you like a demon, you know. And the face of panic that this monster thing did, right? It was like she was horrified of the name I just said, and poof, it just disappeared and it just went out of your body. And how did you feel after that? No, yeah, like I want to tell like my point of view.
Yeah, sure, man.
Hold on, Carla. Before you get into that, I'm just going to welcome some more people into the chat here. We got Johnny Cage is in the house. What's up, man? Zrust has come to visit. He says these are the stories I'm after. Guy from Red Bank is here. He says let's hear the freaky stuff. Well, we're hearing it, man. We got Fenrir Fire here as well. What's up, my man? Thanks for stopping by. Hatch is upset because he's late. It's all right, man. You're all good. And we got Parable WNC. What's up? Says the term is white magic. So thanks everybody for joining. We're just talking about just to recap quickly, John and Carla's extreme paranormal experience with witchcraft here. So now we're gonna get Carla's point of view.
Yeah, it was horrible. Like, that was a possession. Like, it sounds funny, and I always like laugh when I tell it, but it was the scariest moment of my life. Okay, and I remember, right? Like I was.
I said I missed Wiggle Wiggle. I'm sorry. And Bianca fights the zombies. What's up, guys? Sorry, Carla.
I got scared. Anyway, I was talking with him in the Facebook video call, and I don't know. I started like feeling like I wanted to show him that I was better than him. I don't know, something very weird, and like emotions that I never feel. So I was like trying to test him, like what would he say if I told him this, and I was talking very clearly to him, and then like that sensation just went away, and it was me again. I was like, what the hell, right? And then when he told me that the thing was behind me, I just panicked and went to the bathroom and just went there. And the thing is that this thing that was on me was on and off, right? It was controlling me, and then it was me again. I was so confused. I didn't know what to do. And I like the more like I was crying, like desperately crying in panic. And then in the middle of my panic, I started laughing like a freaking crazy lady. But it was not a laugh like I'm laughing because it's funny or hysterical laugh, because some people panic so much that they just start laughing. No, it was like an evil laugh, you know,
Right.
like laughing at his concern, you know, like I was like making fun of his love to me, you know. Yeah, and I felt it I felt that sensation, but I knew it wasn't mine. And then it went away, and I was like hopeless. I really didn't know what to do. And when you start talking about like that witch, like the white witch, I don't know, the thing like panic, but it was like I felt like everything in my body was like shaking, and then boom, it disappeared. But before that, when I was really scared, it was total hopelessness. Like I didn't know what to do. Oh fuck, I forgot. But no, yeah, I remember now that I totally refused to go to the bedroom. Remember, he told me go back to the bedroom. No, wait, no. I didn't care if I had to stay the whole night in the bathroom. There was no way I was going back to the bedroom. And then after the thing disappeared, he told me, "Can you go back to the bedroom?" I was, yeah, sure. You know, but
Yeah, you felt like a way, but see, like that is like you talking about how you felt and all, but you should have like see the optics of it and like the contortion of the body, you know, like the screaming and the sounds. There's something I will never forget, because it was like worse than The Exorcist, all right? This back and forth that we were having between this thing and that thing would make her go back to normal, and then make her like contour her body and laugh like a devil, you know what I mean? And it was just like it was powerlessness, because I was thousands of miles away, you know, and I knew that in that house nobody was going to help her. For all I knew, they were behind this thing, you know what I mean?
But just imagine for a second that you are seeing yourself in the camera, and you see somebody that isn't you moving like you, and that you cannot control it, but you see it's you. That's so fucking crazy. Like you cannot do anything, and that I don't know. Just think for a second. Like you see, and it's not you, but you move, and the thing moves. No, it's impossible to put in words how that feels. And
Yeah, that's freaky.
It was the worst experience, one of the worst experiences.
Mm-hmm. What I think what was scarier to me, like most concerning to me, was the fact that I recognized, right, that the thing behind this, or I don't know if behind this, but at least there at the moment when it happened, was the same thing I've seen when I was so high, right? And it was just this when I remember the feeling from when this thing was not necessarily attacking me, but trying to get me to do something to her. and it was just pure hatred. It was just
Yes.
it detested you. You know what I mean? It really had no problem with me. It just wanted me to do something to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was the problem.
Yeah.
And you think it was connected to these two people, this couple? You think they were poisoning your food and summoning a demon through your wife?
You know, when you say it like that, it sounds freaky, but and trust me, for so long I was like, no, you know, there's no way they're doing anything because, but then their attitude.
Yeah, no. I'm not mocking. I'm just refreshing and trying to map this out properly.
Yeah,
Right.
well, I mean, that sounds about right. I mean, the leaving objects around your room and shit like that,
Right.
and the stealing of the wedding ring, like, yeah, that all sounds really suspect.
Because here's the thing though, lots of people from different places, right? I remember meeting some girl who worked at the White House from Washington, stayed with those guys.
It was an Airbnb
from the Netherlands, and it was always young couples. That was the only people they actually housed. You know? So they had that pattern that they only accepted young married couples, right? Okay, fine, you know, you're entitled to accept whoever, but then they have these weird mannerisms. You know what I mean? And that's fine. You know, like I understand that some other culture and my culture even, you know, there is this paternalism where, you know, older people feel like, you know, they have to be like your parents and baby or whatever, you know what I mean? Even if it kind of sounds ridiculous, but they will take it to a really weird extreme, you know what I mean? To the point that you had no privacy, you know what I mean? They would just straight up, like I said, bargain into your room and in the middle of sleeping, asking you how you were. You know what I mean? Shit like that didn't add up, you know?
That's really strange. That would piss me right the fuck off.
But again, I was just me trying to be nice and be like, okay, so, and here's the freaky thing, like we tell them, the time for us to go is kind of approaching, so we let them know. They changed with us completely. Like it was a complete 180. They went from being the nicest to straight up detesting us, you know, and they couldn't do anything about it because we had paid the month in advance. So we put up with a whole month of pretty much us just being very awkwardly stared at all the time with like this face of hatred, like how dare you leave us, you know what I mean? I don't know. It was
and
just,
the lady was crying and crying the day we left. But the thing is that we are telling you guys the facts, things that they did. They stole my ring, they stole my shirt, they did this, they did that. But we are not talking about like the everyday life.
yeah.
For example, since day one, they were like complimenting us the whole time, especially you, right? They were like complimenting him all the time. And me too, but he was like, you know, all the ladies were like, oh, and let me see your muscles, and you know, like that. Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, whatever. It's an old lady. Let her forge a muscle in her life. Look at her husband, for God's sake. Anyway, but she had 2 daughters, and they were also both like
more so than the mom. And
I know, but like they were complimenting us a lot, but obsessively.
Yeah, it was just a weird interaction. It went beyond the friendly into the they almost seem to have an obsession with us, and they seem to have an obsession with younger couples in general. You know what I mean? Like I remember when this young African couple came, right? Super nice, remember that they were really tall and skinny.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden we stopped being the center of attention, and they became like the big sensation in the house, and they would do the same shit to them. And so now I'm seeing it from afar, right? And I'm like, they go beyond the friendliness, because I know they're not friendly, because once we turn our backs, they start talking about us and insulting us, right? So but they go into a whole different territory there with into just the straight up strange and bizarre, you know, into the bizarre. And I'm talking.
Another thing is that they are from the jungle, okay? No intent to like be judgy or anything, but they were from the Peruvian jungle, and remember they made a trip to the jungle.
Yeah.
And you know that in the jungle,
I'm getting a whole different jungle vibe than the Lion King.
When you first started talking about the jungle, I was thinking like Predator or something like.
She goes straight to the Lion King.
And now you're singing like the Lion King, and I'm like, oh, so it was cute and cuddly, huh?
Bro, if it bleeds, we can kill it to that.
But no, yeah, but like in Peru and also in Colombia, there are a lot of like, if you're from the jungle, you probably do witchcraft, you know.
They straight up told us many times.
They told
us many times that they would do these mumbo jumbo here, these voodoo, this stuff.
Like inoffensive
But see,
stuff.
the thing for me was like, you know, I don't believe in it. It's just bizarre that they believe it works, you know. But then I started to see like the paranormal stuff happening, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm out of here. And we just left. And I remember the sense of peace when I left the house. You know what I mean? Just
look, we both were working at the school, right? We were both teachers. We were teaching English. Yeah, me teaching English, believe it or not. but we were so desperate to get the fuck out of that house that we moved to Colombia. We switched countries. We just couldn't stay.
Like, fuck this country, we're out of here. There's too much weird shit going on. We're just done.
yeah, no, but well, the thing is, we wanted to get married in Colombia so that my family could attend to it. But the thing is I just remember, you know, the feeling of like the weight being lifted off my shoulders when I left, and I felt
They'll be back.
bad because they come out of the waving at us, and I remember the mom try to convince us to stay.
Yeah, crying.
It was just like their lives depended on us staying in the house.
Yeah,
and
they were ignoring us like the whole. Since they figured out we were leaving, they were ignoring us completely. And the day we left, she was crying like crazy.
And she begging us not to leave. So they put us in a situation where I don't.
What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. And then
Evil always plays on your sympathy.
Right. And they're stealing our clothes. They're stealing our jewelry. They're sneaking up in the middle of the night, asking us how we're doing when we're asleep. You know, they open the bathroom door when you're taking a shower and act like it's just the normalest thing in the world.
Oh, I remember. I forgot about this. When they went to the jungle, they told us to stay in their room.
Yeah, it was.
That's weird. This kind of reminded me of, like, I think it was the Skeleton Key. Is that the one where they were doing all the fucking voodoo and shit to try and steal the younger people's bodies so they can live forever?
You know, that actually crossed my mind. That crossed my mind when I was there. I'm like, are these people trying to like switch bodies with us or something? Because
that's totally the vibe I'm getting off of this.
The mom, right?
I get like goosebumps, so like the hair on my arms are raised up, like goosebump shit.
And I grew up in the South here, and there's a lot of different Spanish people, and I was friends with someone who said his grandmother used to practice that white magic, and she said that anytime there's any kind of magic or whether it was good or bad, there was always repercussions from it.
Yeah.
There's always something. So whoever's using it, they said they get it tenfold back at them. So I thought that was interesting, but yeah, he told me some freaky shit too. That's why I'm going, wow, this is fucking nuts. Have this stew. There's nothing weird in it at all. How did you feel? Did you go to the bathroom okay?
Let me check on you while you're doing it.
Yeah, while you're doing it. In the middle of the night, we're going to shake you awake. Did it work? Did what work? Oh, nothing. Are you okay? Yeah.
That makes me think of some like weird Rosemary's Baby shit.
Right?
But you know, here's the thing though, that the thing that when Red mentioned that about the whole body swapping thing is they were so obsessed with our physiques.
Yeah.
Like they will touch us all the time, to like caress our chest, arms, and like, yeah, you have such the perfect body.
They caress you.
Yeah, but the lady will do the same to you. Look at your hair and like, yeah.
Oh, but if you look at them, you're
creepy. That's some creepy shit, dude.
Yes,
it is very creepy. They were just checking Carla if her skin was nice enough to wear.
Yeah,
yeah, they were trying to make sure that she was the perfect specimen to bring forth the Antichrist.
I don't know what they were into.
Oh
But,
no.
but that's the thing. They would have these parties, right, where they'll get pissed drunk. And I promise you, it's like the shit you would see in a horror movie, right? They wouldn't wear black robes, but they were pretty fucking close to do some shit like that. You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
and we'll be in our room.
Oh no,
We'll be like in the room locked up in the middle of the night, and like I wonder when they're gonna shit the hell up, because until then I didn't believe in any of it, right? After the whole possession happened, we were like, yeah, let's go for a walk. You know what I mean? I don't want to be in this party right now, witnessing whatever these old ladies are
But
doing.
also, they waited until you left.
Yeah.
You were in the US when that happened.
Oh yeah.
That was on purpose.
And like I said, it was just no coincidence that every time we ate their food, which was delicious, by the way, we always got sick. And when we like stopped eating their food for a week or so, we felt wonderful.
wow.
Well, Mogwai Centurion's damaged. He said, "I'm going to need something stronger than Xanax tonight."
Yeah. So that's part of the story, right? Because check it out. It gets freaky. Well, it doesn't get freaky, but it just
It already got freaky, John. It's done gotten freaky.
Yeah, you're just fixing to like birth the Antichrist in the jungle of Peru at this point. So
it became after that, it became a confirmation that the paranormal exists for me. So for the longest time, and I told you guys this the other day on private, when we moved to Colombia, because I stupidly listened to my father, we moved into the ghetto, and there was a bunch of robberies, stabbings, stuff like that. We were
going to say that you went from Peru to another dangerous place.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. That's the place where I was born, so I was confident. And listen, nobody.
Look, I was living in Peru for 3 years before I moved with him there. You know, and
Right.
So
never something like that happened.
So yeah, you blame it on me.
Gotcha.
so we
Thanks, John.
moved to
Yeah.
Colombia, and the thing
Go.
is, I'm super confident in this place, right? And nobody actually messed with us. Every time I got involved in it. You know what I mean? I kind of solved the problem, but it got too outrageous to the point that we decided, I have my old grandma lives in the middle of the country. Everybody says that house is haunted.
Oh yeah.
But nobody cares.
That's the second part.
You know what I mean? So let's just go there because I cannot have another break-in in this apartment anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah, sure. So we decided to move to my grandma's house, which is a humongous house. And I'm talking, it has 7 rooms, it has 2 bathrooms, it has like 6 little indoor patios. It's an immense house, right?
Wow.
And everybody's always said that house is haunted, but again, I never really saw anything or heard anything or whatever. Well, when we got there, and here's the awesome part, that she was there with me, right? So you can all confirm with her. It would be ridiculous. Like you'll be sitting down and then boom, a door will slam shut and then open up again and then slam shut again. There was no wind at all, right? You will be sitting down drinking something and then the cup will move by itself and knock out of the table, right?
But baby, you're missing the whole part in Manizales.
Oh, but that's not a scary story. It's just like
It was scary to me.
I want to know because this is paranormal. Remember?
Okay, well that wasn't paranormal, but was horrible.
So
No, you have the lights.
yeah, we have ghosts here. So things will move by themselves all the time. Doors will close and open. You will charge your phone, and something will pull the charger slowly. They will pull the hair off of they will whistle in your ears. All that happened to us.
Like meth one.
One pillow nobody was touching. We were like super far away. The pillow would jump out of the bed and back into like no one.
I got a question. Did you ever just like stop in the middle of that and be like, "Yo, can you just leave us alone?"
All the time. And in fact, and this is the crazy part, the ghost got angry when he found out, just like the old couple, that we were leaving because he started acting super angrily at us.
Violent.
Started throwing stuff.
The calendar.
He
was throwing the calendar, but this is like it's funny, but at the same time, it's like, his grandma. How long has your grandma been living there?
all her life. I mean,
all
like
her life. She's super used to this ghost, okay? And it's like a member of her family. She knows what people he doesn't like, what people he does like. It's like a friend. She's not scared by that. She even like doesn't turn on the lights in the night.
so freaky. She wakes up in the middle of the night. She will be sitting in the kitchen drinking coffee with the lights off, right? And then you wake
that
up.
is weird.
You will wake up to take a piss or whatever, and then she'll come right past you wearing like a white sheet on top of her head, and you're like, oh shit, you know what I mean? But she said, so the thing is with this house, before my grandfather bought it, apparently it was so before she bought it, there was a marriage, right? And the guy cheated on the girl with another guy, right? And
Late and
gay, right? And so the lady like was super pissed or whatever and sold the house for a penny to the dollar, you know.
A war campaign ghost.
So whatever, they sold the house super cheap to him because she just wanted to get rid of the house. But apparently before that, it used to be part of the Catholic Church. It used to belong to the Catholic Church, and a priest died there, right? And so apparently this priest has been haunting that house ever since.
But there's also like the reminiscent of the black candles on the floor.
Yeah, there was some black
That
magic.
was after,
So
right?
so the house has a lot of history. The freakiest thing I remember was one day coming in and seeing like out of nowhere, I'm not joking, like 500 flies on my grandmother's door. You know what I mean? And they were just there.
Oh,
You know?
wow.
And the next day they all disappeared. You know, so it was that kind of stuff. Just poltergeist moving stuff by themselves, by the stuff will move by itself. They will whistle in your ear. They will pull your hair, stuff like that.
Guys, what's Mogwai Centurion telling us here?
The spirit was lonely. That poor guy. Yeah.
No, yeah, but like, you know, when I met John and he told me all these stories, I was like, okay, you know, I didn't believe him. And then he told me a lot of stories, like in the army when he like broke his hip and stuff. And I was like, okay, I believe you only because you have a huge scar. But, you know, like I was believing like 25% of what he told me. But then yes.
Until you became Mumra. Until you
No,
became
I was
Mumra.
gonna say a lot of tall tale. Mumra was from Thundercats.
Okay.
Don't you remember Mumra?
No, yeah, but it was until I visited the house that I knew what he was talking about, and it was true. And the most things that we saw, I saw them. And for example, the jumping pillow, I saw it. You didn't see it.
Yeah, you told me.
Then when we were about to leave, the ghost was like, how do you say this?
Knocking things down, all left and
Yeah,
right.
but the calendar and everything, like there was this very heavy jar full of what? It was a super heavy jar in front of the calendar, and he threw everything to the floor. Like that, the wind that
No, remember when he flipped a bucket full of water in front of us?
Yeah.
It was,
because in that city of Colombia, Cartago, it's called, every day rains. Every day it's super hot and a lot of rain, like Amazonian kind of weather. The thing is that there were like leaks in the floor, in the roof.
the opposite.
In the roof. So his grandma was putting a lot of
Buckets,
and there was like this huge, how do you call it?
Bucket.
No, it wasn't a
Oh,
bucket.
I don't know. It looked like a bucket, whatever you want
Like
to
a
call it.
caneca.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Like
Okay.
a cauldron?
Sorry, I do gotta split again. If you guys are still going on a little while, I'll come back again. But yeah, sorry. There's stuff I need to take care of.
Cool. It's all good, man.
Yeah, you
Thanks for
scared me.
stopping by.
He's scared.
Yeah,
He's running like
Like I
a
said,
girl.
He's got to get wrapped up in his blankie.
that's right. I'm gonna get a Snuggie. I'm gonna get Snuggie.
Hey, Snuggies are the bomb.
You're leaving right before this really scary story, Vinny. You should stay for this one. Just for this one.
All right. Well, refresh me afterwards.
Come on.
It tells me you guys are still going to be going on for like an hour, so I'll be back in a little bit.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Take it easy, man.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Vinny.
So I'm gonna tell you guys the really scary story one, right? The really scary one, because this one was probably the one that freaked me out the most. But maybe
But La Caneca,
no, not that one.
a huge bucket full of water, it turned it.
No, but that's not the story I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about the
that's
Chinese girl.
Oh no! I don't like that.
So like I told you guys, I was teaching Chinese kids.
Why are you doxing my belly?
Online. So I was teaching online Chinese kids, right? And so I was teaching there in the haunted house or whatever, and I have the laptop, right, with the camera, with the webcam, and so I'm teaching this girl who's never really quite pays attention or whatever. She's just kind of there, whatever, repeats what I'm telling her. So I'm teaching her, and all of a sudden she opens her eyes like that, like she just saw the devil, right? And she starts pointing. She points and tells me, look behind you, there's someone behind you. Like in broken English, she's telling me to look behind me. There was nothing but a wall behind me. So I look behind me, and in this room that I picked to teach my lessons, always stuff would happen. I remember one time I go in with the computer, and I just feel like anger, like something was angry that I was there, and like went through me, went out, and slammed the door straight up like that. You know what I mean? But she's telling me that there's something behind her, and this girl is so frightened that she runs and gets her mom and brings her over, right, to show her what she's seeing through my webcam, right? Telling the mom, look what's there. And the mom looks, and she's like, oh, that's probably just a costume or whatever. You know, she thought it was like a mask or something. So at this point, I'm freaking shitting my pants, right? Because she keeps telling me that there's something there. And then she starts complaining that something is that like a screeching noise is like really loud and coming from me, right? But there was nothing. I wasn't even talking, and there was no sound. There was no TV on. There was nothing on, no radio, nothing. And I could see in the bar that shows you like the volume of your feed, right? And I can see that mine is like all the way up. So like there was some really loud noise coming from my end, but I couldn't hear it. And she was just like desperate about this sound and the things that she was seeing behind me. So she just straight up canceled the class, and I never saw her again.
Wow.
Yeah, you guys are putting our stories to shame here.
Yeah, like
that's some freaky shit, all of it.
Red, do you believe in ghosts?
I do, just because I've seen some shit, and obviously not quite as much as John and Carla, but
no, I have luckily I have not seen some crazy fucked up shit.
Have
like,
you not?
We want to hear them too.
Have you had any experiences, Lola?
I've had a few, yeah. Throughout my life, like I grew up in like a spiritual home, you know, like my mom taught me about God and stuff, and so like I grew up always believing like there was another dimension of life. Like once we leave this one, there's another one that we go into. And so like that's how I've always believed that spirits are. So like I believe there are spirits everywhere with us. And so like for instance, my mom was going to go buy some property with my stepdad, right? And this property, they found out, had a slave graveyard on the back side of it.
Ooh.
And that night, my mom and my stepdad both had a dream that they were being chased by these slaves and that they were murdered.
Oh, so they had the same dream.
Huh?
They had the same dream?
Very, very, yes. Very similar. Like, he was running, away from these slaves that were trying to catch him to kill him. And then my mom, of course, was running away because they were going to try to kill her. So, like, they woke up, like, I guess, pretty much simultaneously, and they were like, yeah, we're not buying that. I didn't think much about it. And then, like, when I was, like, 17, my great-grandmother died. And she was kind of like a second mother to me. And so, like at that time, I'd kind of just like turn my back on anything spiritual. I was just like, no, that, all this stuff is just something we tell ourselves to keep ourselves in line. It's, it's nothing real to any of this.
Right.
But then like I would do certain things, like I would make my great grandmother's recipes and I would smell my great grandmother in the kitchen with me. It would be stuff like that. And you'd get like this just overwhelming emotional feeling of just either sadness or joy at the same time, because it's like, that person is there with you, but yet they're not.
Right. Now, did you experience that more than once?
I've experienced it every time I make my grandmother's chicken and dumplings.
No, that's interesting.
Like every time I make her recipe, if I veer from the recipe, I don't get it. But if it's her recipe, I smell her. I can just kind of like get that overwhelming emotion. And I'm like, okay, I know she's there with me. But I did have this one night. Oh, where'd they go?
Oh, they slipped out. Could be the internet.
I had this one night, right? Like I'd been drinking and like I was drinking on the front porch. And so like I came back in the house. And when I came in the house, like I went into the kitchen to make another drink, right? And every cabinet in my house in the kitchen was open. Every drawer was open. Like we would have strange things happen in this house. Like you would hear things, lights would suddenly, pop and go out, and like doors would shut, or you'd have weird things happen. And we actually know that 2 people died in the house that we were living in. So like I do believe, and I have had experiences. I just think I think there's certain elements that you can mess with, like an open doorways to places.
Yeah.
And I don't mess with those doorways.
I try not to, and I think, I mean, at least from what I've heard from theories, some people, I guess, are more, I don't know, ghosts are more attracted to some people, and other people are like a ghost dead zone. Like they'll never see anything because they're like a negative zone for ghosts.
I think it depends on how open your mind is.
That could be.
Like if you haven't opened those channels in your mind and you close them off, you're never going to see anything. You're always going to be a skeptic. But if you at any point open those up, even just a little bit, I mean, just a tiny bit, then it can, it can open up a doorway to something immense.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, but then again, there's skeptics that it happens to, and you might try to rationalize it or make sense of it, but nothing makes sense, so you have to accept it.
Yeah, I mean, once you see something, it's kind of hard to unsee it,
Yeah.
Not be a skeptic anymore. Wow.
I mean, I've always been one of those people, like someone said, don't play with Ouija boards, right?
Right.
So like I thought I'd be funny one night, and because I was like, Ouija boards are made by Mattel. They're not, nothing's gonna happen here. Like it's a Ouija board. Yeah, no. You learn real quick. Like
we messed around with one when we were kids, but I don't think we were doing it right. So.
Well, you just get that feeling on the back of your neck, and like the hair raises up, and you're like,
right.
Okay, yeah, I probably shouldn't be fucking with this right now.
Yeah, definitely had that feeling.
What's your experience, Red?
Well, I have had some fairly limited experiences, and one, I guess, greater experience, you would say. The reason I asked you if that only occurred once for you, when you smell your grandmother when you're making her recipes, her great grandmother,
yeah,
was because my mom used to tell me all the time. After her mom passed, in our kitchen we have a window like right in front of the sink in the house we were in growing up. And she used to tell me that right after her mom passed, she would see her in the window for like a week, and then it would be gone. And it really freaked me out because I had the exact same experience with her when my mom passed. I would see her in that window, but it only happened once. So I don't know if it was just my mind or I don't know, because especially at that point in time, I was a night owl. So I was up all the time. I barely slept. Grief on the mind. Yeah, grief does weird things to you, but yeah, that was one experience. And another is my one brother. We all agreed to sell him the house after both my parents were gone. And it's at one point I moved back in with him, and I was there for about a year. But not long after I moved back in with my wife at the time before the divorce. And it's widely known my dad was a little bit of a racist, and my wife was black. So we had a weird experience one night. We were there about 2 days, and in the attic, we had one of these attics. It's a pull down stair that goes up into the attic, and there's all kinds of junk up there, So one night we just hear this clatter coming from up in the attic, and obviously nobody's up there because it's not like stairs you just walk up. Like you would know if somebody was in the attic. So initially we thought, well, it's probably animals. Maybe a raccoon got in or something through the vent, whatever. But I mean, it started getting heavy. Like you would hear shit like bouncing off the walls, stuff slamming into the floor. And finally we were like, okay, well, there's got to be somebody up there, right? That's too much. That's not animals. So it took us a minute to kind of, muster up the courage. My dad also had a lot of guns that my brother inherited as well. So we got a few of those, and we went upstairs, and there was nothing up there. All the stuff that was up there was, thrown around. Everything was out of place on the one side, like on the, I guess it was the south side of the house. Yeah, like all the things that were up there in boxes were like, the boxes were toppled over, the things were out on the floor. There were chairs thrown around. There was a rocking chair up there that was on its side, and nothing, nobody was up there. So I don't know. So the theory I came up with was maybe it was my dad pissed off because there was a black woman in the house.
Possibly.
I don't know. That's the only thing I can come up with because yeah, he had a bit of an angry streak in him.
Did you tell her that?
I did, yeah. No, I made no bones about it. I tell everybody pretty much everything up front. I don't really hide a lot of shit. So yeah, that was the strangest experience I've ever had. Cause yeah, I mean, what else could it have been? It obviously wasn't the wind, right?
It was good, man. It was good. It was good. It's definitely up there.
Yeah, I used to have weird dreams too about this. I mean, this isn't. I don't know if it's just if it's paranormal or if it was just my stupid brain. But there's this old furnace here that's no longer operational, and for some reason I became not obsessed, but like really interested in this place, and I would go visit it all the time, and I had no idea why. But yeah, after I got married, I showed my wife that. And we drove past it at night one time, and it's a dead furnace. It's an old, I'm not sure if you're familiar, like an old metal smelting furnace. Not like a regular furnace that people are used to, but it's like this giant stone building. And there's this the opening out front is square, and that you can see right into it. You can see right into the forge there. So we were driving by at night, and the opening was different. There was a door on it, and there was like fire. You could see fire behind the door, and we both saw it. Like me and my wife both saw it, and we were like, "What the fuck?" So we stopped and looked, and it looked normal again. So I was like, "Okay, fuck this, I'm out of here." But I used to have like following that. Actually, I used to get these dreams about like a dark-haired, pale-skinned woman, like walking about this furnace. So I don't know if that's connected or if it was again just my mind doing weird things, but yeah, that's the other strange experience I've had.
Well, they say that ghosts can attach themselves to objects, and whoever has them will keep kind of getting harassed by the spirit owner because they feel like it's their belongings and you shouldn't have it, Like I've heard stories about ghost cars, motorcycles, all kinds of belongings. You just follow it,
Yeah.
to your houses.
Well, it's my understanding too that again, I don't know if this is just like local folklore or if this is actually true, but apparently close to that furnace, like within a mile, there used to be a mental institution that had burned down and the patients escaped, the old story. But yeah, especially that was back there somewhere. I think it's since been either bulldozed over or what, because I used to go looking for it and I could never find it. But I probably shouldn't say too much more than that because I'd probably dox my location. But yeah, just some strange things, some weird dreams, some strange experiences. I haven't had a lot, but the few I have had have been unusual.
Right. Meaningful. Yeah.
I believe that children can see things that we can't. And
Yeah.
like I know that when my babies would be sitting in their swing or in like their little like bouncer and stuff, like it would almost look like they were communicating with something else, like they'd be watching something, or they'd like watch like a certain corner of the house, or like it would just be like weird stuff that would happen, like and so I can't be skeptic about it. I'm like, hell yeah, there's something there, and I ain't messing with it. Just keep your distance. Like, I'll stay on my side, you stay on your side. We won't cross paths. I
Right.
won't, you're fully allowed to go to my house as long as I'm whatever.
Yeah.
Just don't fuck with me.
I'm still like weirdly interested in it. Like I don't know. I guess I want to see more.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I guess the plus side for me is that like at least I now know that there might be hopes for an afterlife, because I don't think there's another way to explain all that stuff moving by itself. It was just too real, like too on your face. Too, like it wasn't like we heard a noise and then everything was out of place. And it was like it was happening in front of us.
Right.
Right.
But that opens up questions too. Is it just are these spirits between worlds? Or is that it?
Oh yeah, for sure. You could never really explain it, but experiencing it is freaky as hell, man. It's freaky as hell. There was another. I guess there is another story that I have, but this time I didn't really see anything as much as I heard it, and I don't know if it was paranormal or not but I think the reaction of the people is really what makes it paranormal, right? Because right after my surgery, which I had to get a hip replacement, they and after months of therapy and whatnot, I went back to my base, right? And my unit was not there, right? They had deployed, so I missed out. So they sent me to another company, Charlie company, and they were doing some field training exercises. They were doing land navigation or something like that out in the forest in Georgia, right? Like near Columbus, Georgia, some place like that. And so they took me there. They were out camping, and all the tents were full, so I had to sleep outside in this little stretcher, right? So I see the two soldiers doing fire guard at the night, and they pass by me, right? And I can't sleep because it's early at night or whatever. Their sergeant was inside a truck, with AC on, and we were out there. He offered me to go and sleep in the car, but I didn't want to, so whatever. I was just pretty much laying there in the stretcher. So I see these two soldiers go by, right? And then I hear something. I don't know if it was a boar, but I don't think it was, because it just sounded too weird. It did sound a little bit like a pig, but at the same time with kind of like an element of a human voice behind it, two mixed together. You know what I mean? It was just a really weird, loud roar. You know what I mean? And I just see these two fools run for their lives back into the tents, And I'm like, what the hell? I'm out here, I stay up all night, I don't hear anything else. But then when I kind of mustered the strength, basically, because I couldn't really get up as much because I had a cane, to look inside the truck where the sergeant was, he was gone, right? But the truck was on. Okay, I think that's weird, whatever. I lay back down, Then I hear some shooting, right? I hear some shots. I don't ask any questions. I just stay there. I see the sergeant comes back. I see other soldiers go back to the tents. I don't ask anything. I don't say anything. So whatever, the next day I go and look for the two privates that were doing fire guard that night. I kind of recognize who they were. And they were like throwing some fake grenades or whatever. And I go to them and I asked them, hey, what was all that deal about last night? What did you guys see? And they were like, what are you talking about, man? No, we didn't see anything. But they were like being overtly, like very, yeah. They were
you could tell they were full of shit.
Yeah, they were like, oh, we didn't see anything, man. I don't know what you're talking about. No, nothing. It was just nothing. And I'm like, I don't know. Am I crazy or what? But yeah, it would have been nice if I had seen some Bigfoot or something. But all I could tell you is that sound was very, very eerie. It didn't sound like any animal I know.
They were told to not say anything.
That was my first instinct, right? That was like what I figured. Like they were, because they also looked like they were looking around, like, no, man, there's nothing. You know what I mean? Like almost wanting to tell me that yes, that we saw some crazy shit, But I never got him to tell me what they were. I actually didn't see them again after that day, but I don't know. I just thought it was super freaky. Whatever they saw was really scaring the shit out of me. And I know that boars can be, pretty aggressive and they will chase you down. But that's the thing. I didn't see a boar. And what I heard, like I've heard javelinas, whatever sound they make before, and that wasn't it. It sounded somewhat similar, but it also sounded somewhat human too. You know what I mean?
And if it were a boar, they probably would have just told you it's a boar, right?
Right. And then the sergeant would have gone and killed whatever it was, because that's clearly what he did. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It was just weird.
That is weird. That's an experience I've never had. Was any kind of like cryptid, experience. I've never heard any strange screams like that or anything.
That's the only thing I've had like out in the woods, because what I thought at first, that it was elk, because it sounded like, how they sound like the apocalypse, you know what I mean, when they like scream or whatever it is that they but it sounded like a mix of that with a javelina or with a bear. They had a growl, but it was also as loud as that.
Do you think it could have been Man Bear Pig?
It could have been. It was Joe Exotic.
There's a lot to process in this, man. Whew.
Yeah, definitely. Have you ever heard any strange sounds, Lola, or seen anything weird in the woods?
Through the woods.
Back through the woods, guys.
You guys should team up with Vinnie to do a sequel, Through the Jungle in Peru.
Right?
I'm a country girl, so you always see weird shit in the woods. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, I'm not talking about like rednecks, but fucking or anything.
Niners and everyone else. What you talking about?
Any kind of cryptid experience, like Bigfoot, Chupacabra, Mothman.
I've never seen anything. I mean, I've heard stuff, but like, I don't fuck with shit, man. I don't fuck with the bad shit. Keep the bad mojo where the bad mojo needs to stay.
Oh, not everybody does. Sometimes you just stumble upon it.
Like, yeah. I mean, I saved my house. What are you talking about? Keep the bad for yourself. I don't need it.
A simple no would have sufficed. Hatch, thanks for the $2, buddy. He says, had something screaming in your ear, nothing around. I think that's for you, John.
That's for me. I had something screaming in my ear. It hurt. But other than that, no, I would tell you though, when we were in that house that had these poltergeist problems, they would whistle like songs into our ears all the time.
Yeah.
To the point where
it was horrible.
And it always happened. You were in the restroom.
I'm gonna tell mine.
Okay, but
mine was first.
Yours were first. All right.
Okay. John was working like with these classes teaching English to the Chinese children. So we were both the whole night awake, because that's the time he worked, right? He was like, hello, and I was like, I couldn't sleep either. So I went to the bathroom like at 3 a.m. And he was watching a movie, waiting for the next class. So yeah, I was in the toilet, and suddenly somebody yells like, "Ooh," like right in my ear, like it was a male voice. So of course it's him. Who else, right? And I thought he was waiting in the door to pee, right? And I opened the door and there was nobody there. And I go to the room and he was like still watching the movie with the headphones. And I asked him like, "Did you go to the bathroom?" "No." I was like, "Holy shit!" Or your grandma has a very masculine voice, or I don't know what was that.
And there was no way, because remember the way the bathroom was facing was away from the door.
Yeah.
Because the same thing happened to me one time. I was peeing, and I guess this ghost likes to, is into voyeurism or whatever, because he always gets to the bathroom.
I think most are.
And he just whistled like actually a pretty fine tune, you know what I mean, in my ear. And I'm like, all right, I dig that. Keep it up. No, I'm just kidding. So he whistled something in my ear, and so I turned around, and of course I rushed, like I didn't even put my zipper up or nothing. I rushed to open the door.
Didn't you catch your?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
I opened the door and you're not there, so I go to the room and you're like far away. There was no way you could have made it.
I know. Same happened to me. But you know, the problem is that with this ghost, it's like he was like a joker. You know, he was like always like making jokes.
It was pranks.
He was pranks.
Were they bad jokes?
Bad jokes.
Like bad jokes.
The thing is that at the moment the ghost did that, I didn't think it was the ghost. I thought it was him. But then when I realized, it was like, ooh, but it was too late to be scared because it already happened.
You're just like, you son of a bitch.
I think towards the end we got to a point where there was no way we were scared, because so much stuff would happen, right? So much stuff would get knocked down, you know, so much things would move by themselves.
I remember that time we were trying to sleep, and there was the, how do you call it?
Yeah.
La mesa de luz,
Yeah, like the little, the bedside table. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had a whole bunch of shit there. You know, the inhaler and the mosquito
Repellent.
and all the stuff. And the things were jumping, you know? Like, and we were trying to sleep, and we were like half asleep and half awake, and it wasn't like, oh, this is so scary. No, it was like, stop it, ghost, I want to sleep. I promise.
Yeah, we got to the point where
yeah, we get it. You're scared. Yeah, let me sleep.
we got to the point where we weren't scared anymore. And
yeah, you just get used to it,
yeah.
Just like your grandma.
Well, my grandma says that it is a midget, which makes it extra freaky.
My friend.
Everything's
This
extra
is like my
freaky.
worst nightmare.
Yes, I know.
Everything's extra freaky when there's tater tots involved.
Because she says that when she's in the dark, I always tell her, how come you don't like run into things, because you're always like in the dark and shit, like why don't you turn the lights on? She's like, oh, whatever, lights are for losers. You know, she's kind of like that. She has that attitude.
Oh yeah, his grandma is like so badass.
She's she thinks she's so we're there. And I always tell her, how come you don't run into shit? And she's like, because my friend guides me to the room. She's like, he just grabs my hand and takes me to the room. And she's not senile. Not yet, at least, you know. And she's and she always tells me it's just a little guy. It's like a midget, and that's the ghost that knocks things down.
And I just follow him when it's dark.
And he waits for me, grabs my hand, and he takes me to my room.
Wow.
That's what she said.
Oh, we got some people been telling stories in the chat, so I'm gonna scroll back up and read some of those. If I can find them.
Is Black Daddy still in here?
I'm not sure.
Your simp.
Yeah, my simp.
But what kind of simp? Because there are different kinds of simps.
He's my war simp. He goes to war.
Oh, okay. He's not the black simp, right?
I've heralded him the war simp.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But no, I saw somebody else said something too in here. I think it was Mogwai. He said that I had seen a wood one-eyed worm. I'm on the internet. We've all seen it, okay?
All right.
Quite a few.
Internet. What do you think we're all doing here?
All right. So Hatch had a little tale. He said, I know the one I deal with, I got used to. Interesting enough. I haven't seen it in some time since my cousin and his girl moved in. Maybe the thing in my house thought I was lonely. Maybe. Now there was more to that, but the chat cuts off at a certain point, so that's lost. I'm sorry.
There is one from Seamus that says that the scariest one he had as a kid is that he had a balloon tied up to the end of the bed, and a shadow kept floating around the ceiling and came down once in a while and bumped the balloon, and he had a bunk bed.
Oh wow.
I think they're killing movie plots.
Well, maybe, but we're gonna check him out. Hatch continues, says, "You guys suck. I swear, if this damn shadow shows back up, I'm gonna be pissed at me." Last he saw it was 6 months ago.
You just do what we do, tell it to knock it off, and you'll leave it alone.
Wow, here's a spooky
Get some
story.
sage and just sage around your house. It'll go away.
Yeah. Shane said, "Hey, Red, do you have people DMing you for some sweet, sweet art after Ketchup Pirate was born?" No, surprisingly enough, no. That was kind of spooky.
Yeah.
Wookie Supremacy says, "My daughter used to talk about late night conversations with her butterfly nightlight when she was little."
See, yeah, like my kid does stuff like that. Like she'll just have conversations like late at night while she's laying in bed, and it's like, okay, maybe she's talking to grandma or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Apollo Patriot said, "I really want to see a ghost," and Hatch was quick to correct him. He says, "No, you don't. When you do, your brain like breaks. It can't process once it passes the limit of any logical conclusion." Is that your experience?
Yeah, well, other than that thing honestly, that thing that had the mask that looked like a mummy, that I always described like a mummy, there's no way to erase that from your mind. I still, like, if I want to, I will see it,
But this is my problem. Like, I've never, ever seen anything. Never. He tells me he sees things, but I never see anything. I hear and I feel, but I never see. And he tells me, like, you're lucky that you don't see it, because if you saw it, you would be crying. So I'm happy I don't see it.
But you saw plenty of things. You haven't seen a specter, but you have seen things get like.
Oh, things moving, yes, but
never like an apparition or anything. Yeah. I never have either. Shane Mess says, "I had one of those cold breath moments as a kid and did the duck under the covers, and that's when something started to tickle my side. Ooh. I leapt out of bed and ran to my parents' room." Yeah, that's creepy.
Well, I guess we
never do that as kids, because I was not allowed to do that as a kid. Like I couldn't, like, if I got scared in the middle of the night, I couldn't go get in bed with my parents.
What I would do is, because my dad was kind of a cold man. Yeah, my mom was really sweet, but my dad not so much. So I would just kind of go and sit next to the bed on my mom's side, of course.
Well, I never like passed the door, so next to the bed is better. I was like to the door. And
I guess we could tell them the scary story that's not paranormal, but you still feel scared about. You guys want to hear that one?
Yes, but before we get into that, let me finish up these the chat stories. Mogwai Centurion says, "The night of my 16th birthday, I was coming back from putting away things from my recently departed grandma. My dad was driving. We saw a guy on the side of the road. Then we hit him. We stopped. Nothing was there. No damage or nothing."
Wow.
Hey, Hatch said he could come in and tell us his story.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, there was someone there.
The other day, Mogwai told me that in Florida they were the worst drivers.
No, the Arizona drivers are the worst. We take pride in them.
All right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, John, tell you what, go ahead and then tell me your story. I'm going to email the link to Hatch.
But everybody will think we are a disgrace.
Well, no, we're not a disgrace, but last year was very crazy.
We went through so much.
So I think this is the scary story for Carla, because besides the ghost and the possession and things like that, this was, I don't know, this felt like a more immediate threat, right? Because it was people that were doing it, right? So when we first moved out of Peru, out of this witch's house or whatever, my father convinced us to live nearby him for whatever reason, and I stupidly listened to. Now, my dad lost all of what he had, because he had an affair with another woman. She basically destroyed his life or whatever. He's still married to his wife, and he has another son, my brother. But this lady like put him in so much debt that he lost the house or whatever, so he had to get a shitty apartment in a rundown neighborhood. But you know, it was like the first time in 7 years seeing him again, so he convinced me like, why don't you move, you know, nearby or whatever. I know the area is not the best, but you know, whatever, you know, karate, I'm like, karate, whatever. So he convinced me to get an apartment, like a block, it's hard to explain it because my hometown is just a bunch of hills. It's just nothing but hills. It's mountains, right? So I used to live literally like underneath his apartment, like about a block away, right? Going down. Mm-hmm. So you know, we moved in, everything seemed fine. You know, we had some pretty young neighbors because it was a pretty affordable apartment or whatever. And most of the neighbors that we had were like college students, right? We had a girl that lived upstairs who lived with a white rabbit, remember? And then some gay guy who lived next door to us. He was very funny.
I'm very gay.
And very gay. And then we had Hugo, who was an American who lived with his girlfriend in front of them. They were freaking going at it every night, man. Oh. Like big time, you know what I mean? So, but then the girlfriend was a little exaggerated. She was always screaming like she was dying or whatever. I don't know. and then I think that was it. Oh, and then the guys from upstairs who we never got to see. And when they found out what was happening, they left and they took all their shit and left. So one night, everybody's gone and it's just good old Uncle John and Aunt Carla over there, just minding our business at home. I'm teaching my lesson because remember, I'm teaching China schedule, right? So I'm teaching late at night because that will be the morning for them, right? So I'm teaching their schedule, and all I see is Carla get up from
why always me?
From whatever you were doing, watching the movie there. So I see you get up to the bathroom, and I just see that you're like petrified in the door, right?
I think they'll be back.
Like you're petrified in the doorway of the bedroom, like you're looking at something. So I see you talking, but I have my headphones on and I'm talking to this Chinese kid. So I assumed that she was talking to Hugo because Hugo was super friendly. He would always come by and say what's up or whatever, and then go and make his girlfriend scream for the rest of the night. So I assume it was Hugo, but then I see that her face is kind of weird. So I decide to go and check out what was happening. And what I see is that through the window, this crackhead who had a massive cut in his hand and was bleeding all over my floor and my walls.
Oh, wow.
He's trying to get to her, right? So of
He
course,
was entering the house through the window.
Yeah, so he was trying to get to her because as soon as he sees her, he thinks she's alone. She's not wearing pants as usual. So he's like, I'm going to go for it, right?
Don't say that.
As usual.
Whoa.
So,
What do
I
you
think
think?
this story just got spicy.
So this crackhead tries to get in the house, but he sees me, so he backs off, right? And so I'm trying to be really nice. I get out and tell him to leave right away. He tells me that he wasn't trying to do anything. He was just there to tell me that there were some people trying to break in the apartments through the roof. Right?
That was the help. Imagine the threat.
And he was actually telling the truth. I end up kicking him out of the premise anyways because I'm like, dude, you have no business here. Just go. And so we stay up all night and whatever. Nothing happens that night. So the next night, the gay guy starts screaming like a crazy man or a crazy woman. The next day, he busts out of his apartment and he's like, help, help. So it turns out that one of the crackheads that was trying to break through the ceiling, like punched a wall through the roof and was grabbing this guy through the roof, like on his bed. You know what I mean? Like was grabbing him. And so like this guy shakes him out and just gets up and calls for help. So we all go armed with sticks and whatever.
Oh, that was the gay guy.
Yeah.
Was
so
the gay guy wearing pants?
Yeah, and he was running in his underwear.
Yeah.
Through the whole building.
and so it started happening so that every night would get a break. You know what I mean? And it would be one guy, two guys going through the roof, messing with the neighbors. At first didn't believe it, like the other apartment complex next to us. They were like, oh, it's just cats playing on the roof, until until one of those crackheads actually got in the bathroom with a girl who was taking a shower, and she screamed her guts out, you know, and everybody was just like went to her aid, and we were all like thinking, where is this guy hiding? You know what I mean? And so we keep getting hit by these crackheads every day, every night. They don't let us sleep. You know what I mean? Not that I was sleeping anyways, you know. So I think that was why they loved us so much in the park, because we were the only ones that would be awake.
We were doing the night shift.
So we'll be paying attention in case we hear, you know, glass breaking or whatever. And they would break in the apartments all the time. Wow. And sleeping.
And they were doing drugs in the roof.
They were sleeping the vacant ones. So they were there. Like, I know they were there. We were literally living with crack addicts all the time.
The walls.
You know what I mean?
Like crackheads under the stairs.
Yes, and we never.
How dare you?
This is how it happened. We were in Peru. We escaped from the witches to go there with the cracks.
Wow.
And then we were to the ghost in Cartago.
So check it out. So one night I tried. So we grabbed the skinniest girl who happened to be the neighbor upstairs, and we put her on the roof so that she can go after these thieves, right? Because if I get on that roof, I'm gonna just break a hole through it, right? I'm gonna fall right through because I'm too heavy, you know. So the thief sees her, and he gets scared, so he runs or whatever. And so one day we're so tired, this guy's not letting us sleep. He starts early in the night, and we call the cops. The cops say they can do nothing about it or whatever. So an old man approaches me, like we're, you know, like the whole neighborhood is out in our front door looking at the roof, thinking, where is this guy at? You know what I mean? Where does he get up from? An old man approaches me and says, I can take you to him. I know where he is. And so I go with him, right? And so he tells me, don't tell anybody, but he's my grandson. He's very, very violent. He carries a knife. He stabbed many people already. We have him in a mental institution, but he keeps escaping every night. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So he keeps escaping every night. He's very violent. He's threatened me before. He stabbed some woman the other night. He stole a bunch of tools and a bicycle from me or whatever. Sweet old guy, right? So I go to his house, and the police is already there. And apparently this guy was hiding in the ceiling, right? Somehow he was actually very talented at that shit. I don't know how he was able to manage to like fit in through these places, right?
The wonders that crack can do.
Yeah. And so whatever, but they cannot get to him. So they tell me,
Carla, would you read that, please?
This is why you should have guns.
No, I know, but in that country where we were, guns are outlawed, right? So actually, you could get in more trouble if you shoot him,
right?
Than themselves, you know, for breaking in a house or stabbing you even. And that place was awful. Like, remember the guy with the knife that was waiting for us in the corner, and I pushed you off. So a bunch of stuff happened to us.
I was walking, and then he pushes me, and I was like, "Hey, what the hell? run!"
Yeah, because there was a guy with a knife coming after us. You know what I mean?
Hey, Hatch.
What's up, Hatch?
Hey, what's up?
Hey!
Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
All right, cool.
Yeah, you guys should have gotten a spear for that apartment.
Yeah. So whatever so whatever I say, I offer, and I say, look, if you guys cannot get a court order to arrest this guy, because apparently that was the whole fuss, that they couldn't get a court order in time to arrest him, so you had to let him go. Let me get him for you. I told them, and they were like, well, if you do that, we're gonna have to arrest you afterwards, but you can try. So I asked the old man if it's cool for me to kick down his door. He says, by all means, I'm tired of this guy. I mean, if you kill him, it's fine by me too, he says.
Damn.
And I say, all right. I didn't even have to kick it. It was one of those like fake ass, like fake wood door. So I just punched it open, and we all go in there trying to look for this guy, right? We finally find him like inside of the dishwasher. I don't know how he fit in there, but he managed to fit in there, right? I pulled this guy out, and I put a beating on him that I was like trying to make a point to stop doing this shit, right?
Right.
And the cops wouldn't put their hands on him, so I asked him for the handcuffs and put the handcuffs on this guy myself, right? And I hand him over to the police, and I'm like, you can take him now. So they're like, the only way for this guy to spend more than 24 hours in jail is if you go and sue him. Apparently, that's the whole judicial system over there. You have to go and start a criminal process against him in order for him to spend more than 24 hours in jail. Otherwise, that's all he was going to spend. So they take him, and I gather all the neighborhood to go and start a case. We go tell our case, you know, whatever. They do not care. And in 24 hours, this guy's out in the street again, and he has a price on my head because I was the one that beat him up. Of course, he didn't come back alone. He came back with friends, and they were fucking with knives, remember? It was miserable. And these guys had the easiest access to our apartment. So it was just a complete mess. I don't know how the hell we survived that, you know, but somehow we didn't.
We were like, okay, we cannot take it anymore. Let's just go to your grandma's.
Yeah, and so what happened was, like, these guys stole the gas line, so we didn't have hot water, and this place is actually kind of chillish, you know, it's kind of coldish. So we couldn't shower, we couldn't do anything. Then the power started going out, so we had no electricity, no gas, no running water. We're stuck in that apartment, right?
And we were paying the whole
We had
thing
nowhere
all
to
the
go.
time.
We had nowhere, but we had internet. We had nowhere to go, right? And
Yeah, look on the bright side.
You know why we weren't that worried about the ghost in the grandma house?
Good.
this was worse. And so eventually we kind of found out the whole plot, because like you would go out and you would see people in the corners, like, you know, you could tell that they were crackheads that were just staring at us, kind of studying the situation, who we were and how to get in there. And that's the point where we decided, you know what, we're gonna have to live, because there's, and so I feel bad because like her mom comes from a really peaceful country, so she goes to visit us, right? and one of the nights a shooting starts outside, and it was actually a good thing, because it was a former cop that lived in the neighborhood, sees this guy trying to break into our house and start shooting at them on the roof, right? So of course your mother was like freaking out, like she couldn't
I was
sleep the whole
freaking
night.
out too.
I slept like a baby.
You're Colombian, that's why.
So,
God, yeah, that's terrible. Yeah, crackheads are definitely worse than ghosts.
Yeah.
There's like no end to it. That really sucks.
I would say. And so I guess these guys are not necessarily speaking addicted to crack. So what they are addicted to is, you know, that construction glue type of thing.
Oh, no.
So apparently, yeah. So apparently, if you smell it, you get high, but like really high, like messed up high, you know. And that's what they would do, you know.
Oh, they were sniffing glue.
They were glue heads.
Golden,
Glue heads.
What do you think about all this, Hatch?
That's crazy. I guess crackheads are crazier than ghosts.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know what? I've got to say, human beings have to be the most scariest things ever.
You're
And
not
the
wrong.
They're the worst things ever.
She always told me, be afraid of the alive, not of the dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the live can do so much more damage to you than the dead can.
Yeah, the living can turn you into a ghost.
There you go. What are you up to, Hatch?
Not much. I just been listening to the show. You guys want me to tell you my story?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So it's nothing major, you know, it's nothing as crazy as Carla and John's. I mean,
We're all
that is
feeling a little
wild. That is wild. Yeah. So what happened was, when my cousin moved in, me and him had been talking about seeing this like weird shadow thing, and I was between roughly 12 and 3 o'clock. Now the first like couple times I saw it was when I like woke up from bed and I went to the bathroom, and in the dark I can see the wall when I'm walking, right, in both directions of the hallway. Well, when I would walk back, coming back from the bathroom, when I turn the lights off, you can see the window, right? But every once in a while it would be really blurry. And at first I thought it was like my vision or something, until I told my cousin, right? And my cousin said, that's really weird. I saw the same thing. So we would be walking through this like a translucent shadow, and it would get cold, like 30 degrees colder in the room for a split second. What'd you say?
Did you have to walk through it? Like it was just kind of
Yeah.
path?
Yeah, it's a one-way hallway, so it's a
Gotcha.
long hallway into the living room. So I would walk through there, and it's cold, right? And then I could see the wall perfectly. And now I didn't think anything of it really, except okay, well, you know, it's whatever. I don't know what it is, but what would happen is I'd start hanging out with my friend late night because she would get out of work. And her work schedule was really weird. Like she works odd hours. She used to work at a bar, right? So she would tell me that when she went upstairs, there was it got really cold, right? And she was telling me one time, because I didn't feel like getting out of bed, and I was like, all right, well, you know, I'm just gonna lay here. You know how to let yourself out the house. She thought that she thought that I was screwing around with her because she saw something on the couch, right? And she was like, "Stop playing around." And she, you know, apparently she yelled at it, or not yelled at it, but like barked at it. And she went to go push me, and I wasn't there. And she told me about it. And what was weird was we hadn't mentioned anything to anybody, not even my cousin. And my cousin's friend was over one day, Meatball, and he was like, "Yo, were you messing with me when I left late night the other night?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "'Cause I swore I saw something there." And I said, "You're not funny. I saw you." And then I walked out the house. So like. We would keep getting these like weird like sightings in my house, and
what I find interesting is everyone was blaming you.
Yeah. Well, okay. So to be fair, I used to be kind of a prankster. Like I'd mess around with people. Like when I knew the house was dark or whatever, I would like jump out and like scare them, just messing with them.
Okay,
so,
well, that
like,
makes sense now.
Yeah, they got smart enough to start carrying their cell phones with the flashlight on and walking through that. But yeah, so I was getting blamed, and then at the same time that my friend was here and my cousin's friend Meatball was here, they were like, "What? You saw the same thing?" And these two don't know each other at all. Like they just met probably like an hour beforehand. And yeah, so I haven't seen this thing in a while, but like I said, at first it was when I was waking up and going to the bathroom, right? But then after that, it would be when I was like up all night, like playing a game or something like that, or on my computer, like, you know, wide awake, fully conscious. And I would be seeing this thing between 12 and 3 o'clock.
Oh, wow. Always around the same time?
Yeah, always around between 12 to 3, somewhere in that general area, but it wasn't every day. It was random. And then what happened is my cousin's girlfriend moved in, and I don't know, I guess after that, I stopped seeing it because I haven't seen it in like 6 months, and I haven't changed anything in my schedule or anything like that. So
it was probably just started hanging out in her room between 12 and 3. Maybe it just decided to move on. I don't know. Maybe it thought I was lonely or something. Maybe it thought my cousin was lonely. It was just strange. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's been going on for a couple of years, like 3 or 4 years. But like I said, as soon as my cousin's girlfriend moved in, which was about 6 months to a year ago, I don't remember seeing it again. So is
pretty wild.
Is she kind of bitchy? That might have driven him off.
No, she's actually really, really nice.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, the shadow people, that's something I hear a lot about, but I've never had any experience with that. Yeah,
I don't know what it was. Like I said, my cousin's friend and my friend could see it better than I could, because at least they can make out a shape. I couldn't make out a shape. Right. I could just see something was like
Like
clear but cloudy,
gotcha.
like a blur in your vision, but you turn your eyes and you don't have that blur anywhere else except directly down that hallway.
Wow, that's weird.
Crazy.
Did it freak you out a good bit?
The first couple times, yeah, and then eventually I was just like, oh my god, get out of my way! I got to go back to sleep. Walk really fast through there.
Once you figured it wasn't harmful, you kind of got used to it.
Yeah. I was just like, oh, not this again. Just walk down, and then go to sleep.
Cool, man. That's actually the first personal encounter with like a shadow person I've ever heard.
Yeah, like I said, it was weird at first, and then I'm sure just like Carla and John, they kind of got used to like the minor stuff. Like I said, I haven't had anything more than it just, I guess, saying hi to me, just like, hey, what's up? Just standing in my way. I haven't had like anything move. That
is very freaky in and of itself, man. That's very freaky. But yeah. I guess because we never saw it, you know what I mean? We could get used to it, but seeing it must have been a whole different thing. And I've heard a lot about the shadow people, especially when it comes to sleep paralysis, right? A lot of people who experience it see that that's what they see, you know, it's shadow people holding them down and not letting them move in the bed.
Frogo and Chris.
Yeah, what's up, guys? Yeah, we're just talking about some ghost stories, some crackhead.
I don't know, like I've never visually seen anything actually there, so I can't attest to that. But that's like a really fucked up story, Hatch. I'm just gonna tell you.
It could be a crackhead.
Like if I ever come down to you in person, I'm gonna sage you. Like I'm just gonna like douse you in sage.
Well, like I said, I haven't seen it in a while. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it passed on. I don't know if it knew one of us.
It's just sleeping right now.
Yeah.
Sleeping on the job.
Now, you guys usually know yourselves in this kind of situation, but if you saw something like that, like a shadow person or a ghost, like you actually see it, how do you think you would react?
Yeah, like I said, I don't know. I was explaining to Apollo. Yeah, I think it was Apollo. I was saying that like the first time I saw it, it was like my brain broke. Like, this is not possible. This is not rational. So therefore, this isn't happening, kind of deal. And as it happened more, I'm like, okay, maybe it's a ghost. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know what it is.
How do you think you'll react to that, Lola?
Yeah, I like I said, the ghosts can live here as long as they don't mess with me, which means if I have to see it, they're messing with me, which means they can no longer live here.
But you have three options, and it is to fight, to flee, or to freeze. What do you think you do?
I'd probably just freeze, just be like, okay, whatever. Like, no, you're not there. I'm not talking to you. It's like when my kid, like, you know, starts to get on my nerves and you just start to tune them out after a while, you know what I mean? Like when you heard mom all day, like you become really good at just like being able to tune things out and be like, nope, you're not there. I don't see you. I'm just gonna step sideways and go around you.
How about you, Red? How would you react to that?
I don't know. I've always been pretty level-headed about stuff, even this kind of stuff. And since, you know, I have experienced a little bit, it'd be freaky, obviously. It'd probably send a chill down my spine, but I think I'd handle it okay, as long as, you know, it wasn't coming at me or some weird shit like that, flipping stuff over or what have you. Yeah, I've always been very, very level-headed, especially in, like, strange or emergency situations.
Yeah, Red, if you paid attention to the chat, Addis in the chat, Addis919 was talking about in Jersey in Atco Raceway, well, near Atco Raceway, there's an abandoned road, and like you can hear all kinds of noises and stuff, and there ain't nothing on this road for miles, and a kid died in the middle of the road. and there's also a bunch of people who have like wrecked their cars and died near there. Like it's wild. Like if you ever come down to Jersey, you should check out some of these places.
Oh wow, yeah. There's a road around here, where supposedly a school bus of kids died.
Oh.
And yeah, they say, I've never experienced this personally, but they say if you put your car in neutral on that hill, the kids will push it back up the hill.
Oh.
What?
Yeah, there's some freaky stuff around here. I've had a close encounter with some. I don't know if they were witches or what the hell they were doing, but yeah, now that now we're talking about this stuff, it kind of triggered some memories. But there's another place around here that's supposedly haunted, but beyond being haunted, like there's these weird cults that go there and do whatever they do. And I used to drive through there occasionally, not too frequently, but one time I did drive by and there was like this big bonfire and road people, and I was like, okay, I'm leaving. That's good. I don't need to get close to that. Yeah, there's, oh man, anybody experience any cult-like behavior?
Has there anybody here driven like Lyft or what's the other one, Uber?
No, not yet. I was actually looking into it recently, but I haven't done it yet.
No, I'm kind of afraid to.
You would meet the strangest people ever. It got to a point where I wouldn't do it without a gun. There was this guy that sat in the back. I was always being nice, you know what I mean? Like I had some mints or whatever I'll offer the customers. I did that like a long time ago. And there was this guy who started telling me that he started being super rude. So I told him that I was gonna end it and that he didn't have to pay me, but I was gonna leave him right where he was. And he started saying to me that if I did that, he was straight up gonna shit in my car. And
wow.
he started like actually trying to take his pants down and be like, I'm gonna shit in your car if you don't keep going. And that was so great. Like I'm gonna take a shit right here.
Are you sure it wasn't Amber Heard in the sky?
It's great.
Wow, what the hell of a threat! You know,
You should do the same.
No. But that was just one of the things, because there were so many weird people, man. I got death threats from drunk girls all the time. They're like, if you don't give me 5 stars, I'll kill you. And then they will lick me in the face.
look at Carlos' face.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Nah, this happened.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, that threat would
This
probably
is why I don't do shit like that. This is why I don't take jobs like that.
that would probably compel me to do as they ask before, like threats of violence. Actually, I don't want shit in my car.
There's actually a last part, the end of the horror story is then I moved to the US and my house burned. But you know that one.
Yeah.
That was no ghost. It was this ghost right here.
Yeah, but the thing is that since I met you, our life is super crazy.
Stop it. You can have any shit on your life.
All John's fault.
John is your adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about how boring your life would be.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But now that the reason why is because you were asking about if anybody has experienced cult behavior. I have not, but I heard about this guy who did Uber, right? Actually, he was the one that told me about it, right? And I guess he did this, he drove these people, and there were like 3 or 4 of them. I think 3 is the limit or whatever, in the back. And they were like dressed like for a cult meeting or whatever, you know what I mean? And they asked him, right? They asked him if, because he was apparently too far away from the city. They asked him if he could, for a few hours or so, to bring him back, and that they'll pay him good, And he said that he couldn't, but whatever, that he could go back and pick him up. But then he was so far away, so he figured, how many hours are you thinking about staying? And then they told him that around 2 or 3 hours or whatever would do, and if it was cool, that they even had a place for him to stay and whatnot. And he said he was fine, and that if he wasn't gonna take that long, then I guess, and if they were gonna pay him like this, like they said they would, then it was fine. So I guess they went into this house party or whatever, and they let him stay in the guest house for like 3 hours or so. But they told him explicitly to not go like snooping around in the house where the party was going on, right? They told him,
Oh, that's a red flag.
Right.
they told him just stay there, you know what I mean? Just don't mess with our thing, whatever. And the guy was just like pacing back and forth and like, you know, I gotta go see what's up because these people are just so weird. And he didn't give me many details, but he just told me that when he looked through the window, he just basically saw witchcraft, like bonfires, like what you described. And that he noticed that they saw him, and he said, my heart was racing so fast, I just got in the car and freaking drove off, and I didn't look back for like 80 miles. You know what I mean? Yeah.
See, I'm with Guy from Red Bank. I've never experienced like anything crazy, but I grew up in a cult, so
What?
yeah, like my parents, their families were kind of like it's an offshoot of a Pentecostal.
Okay.
And I don't know how to explain it, but it's very legalistic, very I mean, like women are second-class citizens to these people. Like they have one purpose and one purpose only. Like they do not cut their hair, they do not wear, pants, like they're very modest, very like there's rules about like women wearing heels. It's just very legalistic, and it's very strict, and if you step out of line there's consequences, and if you break these rules then you're gonna go to hell.
Did your parents like escape it, or did you escape it? How did
My mom left when I was a kid, when my mom and dad divorced.
No, right.
But I stayed with it. Like my aunt is still a part of it. And so I stayed with it up until I was about 16 because I thought that was the only way, to heaven, the only way to God.
Wow.
And then when I was 16, I was like, this is bullshit. I'm not doing this.
Wow, that's crazy.
That is crazy. You could have been in a Waco incident.
Yeah.
Like it gets pretty, like, the further you get into, like, with other people that are a part of it, the crazier they sound and the worse it gets. Like they believe in a modern day prophet and they listen to what the modern day prophet says.
Oh, that's true. That's me.
But
that is the red gaze. The red gaze is the modern day prophet.
What did Head say?
I didn't say anything yet.
He's waiting. He's taking it all in.
Yeah, I was reading the chat. Gaming or what said, I heard people with B negative blood type are more sensitive to stuff in the other side. So that's interesting. I'm about to check my blood type because I forget what it is.
Well, I'm glad I am not B negative.
Yeah, like I was saying, Corey Taylor from Slipknot, they recorded their third album, was it Subliminal Verses, in the Houdini Mansion. And Corey Taylor and Joey Jordison both almost went insane and killed themselves inside the Houdini Mansion. Wow. Corey Taylor was going on record saying randomly he would hear just people or like something like slowly start screaming and then like scream like super loud pitch.
Wow, like a banshee.
like they were like they were just zipping by real quick. And he said he almost went insane. He had like people telling him to kill himself in his ear. It's crazy.
Wow, that's freaky.
Wow.
All right, where was that again? So I can not go there.
Houdini Mansion. It's apparently a haunted mansion. Everybody who's been there says it is, but I've seen shows on it and I'm not convinced from the shows, but I do know, like I said, I have friends who have experienced stuff, and one of them experienced the same thing as Corey Taylor did. So,
oh wow,
it might be a medical condition, like something inside your brain. That's a possibility too, but I don't know.
Yeah, freaky stuff, man. There's all kinds of freaky stuff. I don't know. For some reason, I've been watching a lot of paranormal shows lately. You know, a lot of those I think are bullshit, but it's still interesting, fun to watch.
Yeah, but only 1% of them are true. It's worth it, right?
1%.
Yep.
Do you believe in
Yep.
like Sasquatches?
Say what?
Sasquatches, aliens, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I never seen any of that. There is like here, Phoenix is famous for. I guess in the 1990s there were just like a straight up fleet of UFOs just overflew the city or whatever, and everybody recorded. They were like this triangular shaped spaceships, and of course the governor came up with some bullshit explanation that it was I don't know, weather balloons, whatever. But I mean, there's no way. Like there is so many recordings about it, and it looks like no technology that we know of. And one time I did see something great, but I don't know if it could have been a meteorite. Like the thing with Arizona though is like you can see a lot of shit from space. You know, like what you call those stars that pass by real quick? Shooting stars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I saw like near Luke Air Force Base in El Mirage, Arizona, was like this ball of fire that was coming from the sky, and it had a lot of sparkles. You know what I mean? Like it was just falling like this, you know, until they hit the ground. But there was no like loud explosion. There was no big light. There was nothing. It just like softly, but it was just so big, so massive, and you could tell it was on fire. So I don't know what that was, and I got it in the news or whatever, and there was nothing about it. So who knows what it was?
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of those instances where you're like, who knows? You know, who knows what that was? Gaming or What says, I seen angels when I was younger. Wow. Mogwai Centurion says, aliens. What do you think about this theory? Some people think that Bigfoot is actually an alien species, and that's why they tend to disappear and you never see them. Or they're trans-dimensional. Do you believe in that kind of stuff, or you think that's weird?
I mean, everything is possible. Everything is possible. It could be that if they do exist, that they're just hiding in caves, and but yeah, it's possible. Hell, it's possible. It's possible that we are the aliens. Have you ever thought about the fact that like we don't fit in this planet at all? Like you look at the other creatures and we look nothing like any of them. Yeah, sure, you can say that we're apes, but come on, look at the differences, right? And look at how a little virus can pretty much just make it like pretty much fuck us up, and that the same thing doesn't happen to animals. Look at the fact that we have like suffer from back pain and things like that from gravity. How the hell is the gravity of this planet affecting us differently than the animals? You know what I mean? Maybe we're the aliens.
That's an excellent point. David Smith says, just got here. Have I missed anything good? Yes, you definitely want to watch the replay. John and Carla especially had some really cool stories to tell.
Oh, we all did. Yeah, imagine if we're like the aliens and like the reptiles or whatever, they are actually like the ones that are from here. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I've kind of heard that theory tossed around before too, and I don't know. I don't really rule anything out anymore.
Yeah.
Gaming or What says California is a hot spot for UFOs. Wookiee Supremacy says California is a hot spot for weirdos.
Oh man. Yep.
Yeah, man. So I think I don't know. I know I've exhausted my stories, I believe.
Yeah, me too. Do you have any more stories from our adventure from around the world? No.
I hope they stop there.
There'll be more to come. Don't worry.
Cool.
No,
Yeah.
I can't even watch horror movies anymore. I just live through too much shit. I'm scared. I sleep with this monkey.
And this one.
Well, that's cool. Well, maybe we can dig a little deeper and maybe come up with some material for another stream like this, because this was pretty cool. I enjoyed it.
You could be like the next Art Bell, the Art Bell of CG.
Hatch, you got anything else interesting to share?
Yeah, I was just wondering, why does it seem like Africans, Hispanic, Cuban, and what was the other one I said on the chat? I forget. Why does it seem like they have the worst experiences with supernatural phenomenon? Any ideas on that?
I would venture a guess, maybe because they tend to have richer cultures and more spiritual things going on. Maybe that's just that's my first thought.
In my humble opinion, I think that I think that for a very long time, like the Catholic Church was very, very strict on. They were very good at keeping like a lot of people in fear. You know what I mean? With a lot of superstition. So that translated, and because like Red says, it's such a mixture of different places. Like in my country personally, it's made up of people that came from Spain and mixed with Africans and mixed with Native Americans, and everybody had like their culture. So in order to kind of like survive as a unifying monolith, they kind of just threw everything together into one and preserve some of the African rituals of voodoo while at the same time practicing Catholicism. And you know what I mean? And it became a cult to the saints and why not? Which is what you look at in Cuba and the Caribbean, you know what I mean? How they worship saints over a lot of times even God himself or Jesus. And I don't know, I just think that like Lola's mentioned earlier, you know, like you do things, you start messing with stuff like that and stuff that you might not even know about, and you might be opening doorways to things that don't belong into this plane, right? And because of this whole practice with voodoo and with witchcraft and with all these things, it might be opening doorways to things that don't belong to this.
Yeah, these like negative things need permission to enter this dimension. So that's why some people dedicate their lives to that.
Yeah, and when there's a lot more people playing with that, then yeah, maybe it's becomes more commonplace. Gaming or What says, how does one get on the panel? I would love to join you all next time. Maybe we'll do that next week. And we'll do another like a similar stream, and we'll just throw it out to the pan or to the chat as well. Yeah. How does that sound?
That sounds awesome. I'm done.
Cool, man. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. That was totally awesome. I'm not going to throw anything up on the screen, but if you haven't checked out Sunsworn yet, please do so. The link's in the description. The link for Grim Reaper 2 is also in the description. If you haven't checked that out, please do so. Through the Woods is over 30K, but that doesn't mean we have to stop. So definitely check that out as well.
Real quick.
Yes.
Hatch, is this your first time on here with us?
Yeah.
Yes. We finally got Hatch on here. Hell to the motherfucking Hatch.
Hell to you too, Lola.
Make sure you're back through the woods so Vinnie can stop being scared about these stories, all right? He's shaking.
Yeah, he's terrified. He said he was going to be back, but where is he? He's pissing his pants.
Totally
That's right.
He totally did this, man.
He's hiding under the covers.
I feel bad for Mogwai Centurion. He's over here saying he's going to like heavily medicate himself to go to sleep tonight.
I think
don't mix your drugs and your alcohol, man.
I have a sneaking suspicion he does that anyway. Just kidding, Mogwai. Yeah, let's do this again next week. We'll do one of these streams and open it up for the chat to come in and talk about their stories too. Cool.
Hail to the chat, and everybody have sweet dreams.
Absolutely. Hatch, thanks for joining us, man. It was good to have you.
Yeah, appreciate
it was fun. Back Grim Reaper, back Sunsworn, back Peregrine, and sign up for Keong Lee's Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb 2 mailing list.
Hell yeah, man. That shit's going to be off the chain.
Hell yes.
Yeah, I have number one and I enjoy it.
Amazing. Huh? Sorry.
I said I have number one and I enjoyed it. It was good. It's manga and American comic. It's pretty cool.
Keon kicks ass, man.
I think we're going to end on this note. Frankie had to tuck Vinny in. Hail to the chat. Hail Comicsgate. Thanks everybody for coming out. Thank you everyone on the panel. Appreciate you guys. It's always fun.
Thank you, Ed.
Catch y'all on the next one.